Hi, my name is Abdul Johnson. I'm the president of AFSCME Local 2620. Today we're here at Central California Women's Facility, one of the largest prisons in the world that houses female offenders. From the time a woman offender enters into the prison environment, AFSCME Local 2620 members are an integral part of her entire rehabilitation. 70% of all women that come to prison are single mothers, so the child they leave behind is also taken care of by members as well. So we're going to take you on a journey to see exactly how AFSCME Local 2620 plays an integral part in their rehabilitation.
As a therapist, I am totally committed to rectifying the human spirit. Legislators say it this way: the state of California has a vested interest in each of its citizens. So as a therapist, we own that. We too share in that. We then begin to say, how can we affect this person's life so that they will choose rehabilitation? It has to be their choice. But we present to them options that will motivate them and encourage them, support them, and guide them in the process.
One of the things we do is we help them to understand themselves better, be more aware of situations that are going to trigger them in some negative way, lead to anger. We teach them things, skills, we teach them moral development, we teach them how to handle their problems. And in doing so, we're teaching them how to deal with life outside of this environment. And that's basically the core of rehabilitation.
My main focus here is I want these ladies to have something to look forward to. The art therapy is good because art therapy is just the first layer of it. After they come in the room, we'll listen to music, we'll have our art coloring projects. Then when you go past that level, then you can start talking about issues they may be having, problem solving through empathy, if I can be a reference source for them. Counseling for them, you know.
Where I find rehabilitation is if we are able to help them with spiritual counseling as well as learning integrity or reminding them of how to practice their own self-worth. Part of my job is to be able to remind them of those things.
From a religious point of view or from a spiritual point of view is helping them to realize that their value from the Creator, whatever faith group they belong to, but knowing that their value in the presence of the Creator, then that will help them to become better individuals as they relate with everybody else that they come in contact with.
And so one of the things that they discovered is that in their faith, in whatever religious upbringing they were brought up, most of the time they were not faithful to it. And so they tried to reconnect with their religious, faith as they knew it, or they explored other faiths as well. And by doing so, they tried to connect the dots in their lives.
Chaplains really are the crossover for some people, and we may see somebody from when they come in reception to when they go into general population to when they may have challenges and end up over in AFSCME. We may be that touchstone person for them where all of a sudden they're remembering that they need to have something more than just the bad behavior or problems, or for those who are really working on rehabilitating themselves, that they want to change their lives.
I had an inmate, she started out pretty rough, she had addiction problems, drug, alcohol, fighting, anger, so much anger. And when I would sit down and we'd have these ceremonies and services, I would come and sit down and talk to her one-on-one and say, what could help you change today? What could help you stay sober? What could help you hear God's words? And she would sit there, I don't have anything, I'm in prison, she would say. They look around me, there's nothing here. I would tell her, there's something here. I said, you have breathing, you have a heartbeat, you can walk, you can talk, you have something, there's a blessing. I said, what about your son? Because she mentioned her son, and she goes, well, he's lost right now. I said, well, what happens if you find your way? I think your son would follow you. So she goes, well, all right, I'll give it a chance, Atkins. I'll give it a chance. Days would go by and come, and we'd have ceremony, and she'd be right there, and she'd get all excited, and she goes, today, I'm 30 days clean sober. You know, and I was like, oh, that's good, you know, that's beautiful. And she goes, by the grace of God, I'm clean and sober. A year goes by, so I'm a year and a half clean and sober. 3 years later, you know, she's a big pillar in our community. Comes and holds that ceremony, comes, lights that fire, helps and assists, and truly a different person. And to hear that when she talks about her son, you know, he's made such a difference in his life because of the change in his mom.
Most of our inmates do use a lot of psychotropic drugs, and we try to stabilize these inmates, you know, hoping that we can control these inmates to where they can learn and start functioning in the real world and be productive to the society.
Basically, as a dietitian, we try to get the patients or inmates ready for when they leave the prison, that they can also follow the diet out there. If I don't do my job correctly and educate the patients of the importance of nutrition, then let's say for a diabetic, then it makes them at risk for kidney failure, losing their eyesight. They can be irritable because their blood sugar has dropped, and then they're going to be more likely to get into fights, and just numerous problems.
A lot of women who are incarcerated into the prison system, particularly in Chowchilla prison, and they're incarcerated, yet a lot of them, they have children, and those children are anywhere from 0 to 18 years of age. And your heart just breaks for these children, because as children, you know, the one thing that they want is this family nucleus. And we all know, because we were all there as children, you know, when we were in school, what did we want and look forward to at the end of the day is to go home to our parents and our brothers and sisters and to be together. And so they yearn for this. And you can just see it in their eyes, and you know, they run up to you and they want this love and hug and compassion. When you're at these facilities, you have the chance to be able to be a role model to them as well, and let them know that life is going to be okay.
There are cases, there are times when, say, a birth mother has allowed a relative, perhaps their parents, to adopt their child while they're incarcerated, or using or knowing that they are not able to properly, safely care for their child. And I have seen instances where she is able to adopt her child back with the complete consent, of course, of the legal parents, so say her parents. So that does happen sometimes, and it's really, really neat to see the full circle of the success story of the full rehabilitation.
My job as a vocational counselor is to assist people who have disabilities, women from the prison namely, to get and keep a job. In the case of the ladies from the prison, you have not only the problem with the disability, you have these long gaps of employment history. Either way, we have to figure out what kind of jobs they want. We have to develop a plan that helps them achieve those jobs. And then for about 90 days after they're at work, we sort of bird dog them for a while to make sure things work out okay. Because sometimes you get started on a job and it's doing pretty good, and then you realize, ooh, I don't like this job. So we tell them, this is your life. You tell me, does this work for you? If it does, let's keep at it. If it doesn't work for you, let's sit down, talk about it, make some changes.
I ended up in prison because of my extreme anger and my suppression, and drinking alcohol led me to 9 years in prison. It's just like, it was just like, actually it's like really scary for me, because like I stated, it was my alter ego, but I believed deeply like that's who I was. It became a person that I thought like that's who Shanika was, because I really didn't know who Shanika was. So I feel like that person was my protector. And I feel like that person was the only thing that could help me out in life, and it caused me to harm not only people that I was close to, but also myself. It's a beautiful thing when you have people helping you to meet your goals and for you to stay on the right path. Like, for me, I see it as, it's like a safe place, my safe place, like a castle. And the only reason why I define it as a castle is because there's so many rooms in a castle, and any room could be what you want it to be, and that's how it is. Either you could have a room that's going to be disastrous to you, or you can have a room that could be blissful. And when you put it all together, whatever you want is like what it's going to come out to be. But in order for it to be there, you have to have some type of support, and you have to be open-minded.
I think a castle is an apt way to describe rehabilitation, and there's that drawbridge where you got to get into the castle, and that's when that, as Shanika has kind of described, you being able to make a decision of I don't want to be like this, and having the insight and awareness of this is an opportunity, and I'm gonna grab it. I want to make the most of it. This is something good for me as a person, and I want to go ahead and draw that, and I want to go there, and so whereas before the person, that drawbridge was up, they were sealed off, they were protecting themselves, and a castle can be a castle, and it can also be a prison, and but the difference is that willingness to let that drawbridge down and maybe allow someone else to come in and assist and turning it from a prison into a castle. That's kind of the process, I think. That's a nice way to describe it.